Today's story is about a man many people did not like. They called him a sinner, which is funny though, because aren't we all sinners? Don't we all make mistakes and do things we shouldn't? So the story starts with Jesus entering a place called Jericho. Jesus had been going around telling parables and performing many miracles these days. The word was spreading quickly about Jesus and the amazing things he was doing. So it was common when Jesus came to a place, people would rush to go see him. Just imagine, guys, if a famous person came walking down into your town or your street, wouldn't you be excited and go rush to see who it is? Yes, people would be telling other people and their friends, and very quickly there would be a large crowd around the famous person. And so this was how it was for Jesus also. So during that same time, there was another man named Zacchaeus. He was the chief tax collector in this place and had lots of money. Maybe not everyone has heard of the word taxes before, but it was something that people did not like. The reason why is because everyone who worked had to pay taxes to the government or to the high leaders. Taxes, for the most part, help us live better, so they are actually a good thing. But the problem is here that sometimes, and that includes the time in the Bible, people who got the tax money didn't always spend it properly. Some tax collectors were dishonest and took more money than they should have from the people. They would then keep the extra money for themselves. And not a surprise, but Zacchaeus was also not a honest tax collector. And that is why Zacchaeus probably did not have many friends, because people had very small trust in him. So the people from Jericho did not like Zacchaeus very much, especially because he had lots of money and a big house. They figured that he had taken some of the tax money for himself, and this was why people did not like paying taxes. It was so unfair. Okay, before we start the story today, I just want you guys to remember 3 things. First, Zacchaeus was a little tiny man. Second, Zacchaeus was a rich man. Third, nobody liked him very much, so he was a loner. Alright, back to the story. So Zacchaeus also heard loud noises and a crowd, and soon realized that Jesus was in Jericho. You see, Jesus was a celebrity back then, since everywhere he went, people who were sick got better, people who couldn't walk could walk again, and people who were blind could see again. So you see, Jesus was a pretty amazing guy. And so everyone wanted to see Jesus, including Zacchaeus. So he rushed to go see him like everyone else. However, the only problem was that everywhere Jesus went, there were always crowds of people all around him. And if you guys remember, Zacchaeus was a little man, so he was very short. However, Zacchaeus did not give up and figured that Jesus would be somewhere in the middle of the crowd. So he stood on his tippy toes, but all he could see was the backs of people's heads. He tried jumping up and down, he bounced from one side then to the other, but he still couldn't see Jesus. You guys probably know what it's like to be shorter than all the adults around. Well, Zacchaeus wasn't very tall for a grown-up, but couldn't ask someone to pick him up to see better, 'cause, come on, that would be kinda silly. Imagine an adult asking another one to pick him up. That doesn't work. So, Zacchaeus saw a tree in the corner of his eyes and decided to climb it so he could see Jesus. I just wonder if Zacchaeus thought it might be strange for a grown man to climb a tree, especially since he was an important person in the government. Well, whatever, he thought he did it anyways and didn't seem to care. So Zacchaeus waited for Jesus to come down the street, and he watched as Jesus got closer. Suddenly, Jesus stopped right under the tree where Zacchaeus was peeking through the branches. Then Jesus looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today." Zacchaeus thought to himself, shocked, "First of all, how does Jesus know my name?" But that didn't matter to Zacchaeus, so he flew down that tree right away and welcomed Jesus gladly. Hopefully, you guys also noticed it, because Jesus did something cool just now. First, Jesus knew Zacchaeus' name without asking him. Second, Jesus didn't care that other people didn't like Zacchaeus, and that is why he wanted to go with him to his house. Third, Jesus said that he must stay at his house today. This means that Jesus knew that God wanted him to go there, and Jesus obeyed. So Jesus smiled and put his arm around Zacchaeus' shoulder and started off towards Zacchaeus' house. However, the people in the crowd were not happy at all. The crowd of people had spent all day in the hot summer following Jesus, and now Jesus was going to stay at the house of Zacchaeus, a rich, cheating tax collector. No way! So they all started talking amongst themselves, grumbling about Zacchaeus. They were shaking their heads, saying, "Why would Jesus go to the home of someone who is dishonest and unkind?" However, Jesus had a bigger plan and wanted Zacchaeus to know how much he loved him. So I'm sure both Jesus and Zacchaeus knew what people were saying. Thankfully, Zacchaeus saw the love and kindness Jesus showed him that day, because he jumped out of the tree and said to the Lord, "Look, Lord, here and now I give half of my money to the poor, and if I have cheated or stole anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount." Zacchaeus said this because he was sorry he had taken more money from the people than he should have. The important part of this is that Zacchaeus had a change of heart. I don't know if he was already thinking about repaying people back, or he just knew what he should do when he saw and talked to Jesus. But that didn't matter. And he also said that he would pay back people 4 times the amount. So if he owed someone $1, he would pay back $4 extra. You know, Zacchaeus didn't have to do this, but he wanted to make things more than right. When Jesus heard this, he said, "Today, salvation has come to this house, because this man, too, is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save what was lost." Jesus meant that he had forgiven Zacchaeus' sin, and that even though people didn't think Zacchaeus was good, God still loved him too and knew that his heart was good. Then the very last part, Jesus said that he came to seek and to save the lost. The lost here is the robber on the screen right now, but God still loves those who make mistakes. And this was the whole point as to why God sent his son, Jesus, to come to earth, to find those who didn't know God and were lost, and to show them who God is, so that they can live forever in heaven with him. So I just want you guys to know that Jesus knows you too, and wants to laugh with you, cry with you, and just be with you no matter what. He wants you to come and tell you how much, and he wants to come and tell you how much he loves you. So all we have to do is to ask him to come in. All right, guys, have a great week.
Zacchaeus. So part of God's story is about Zacchaeus, and it begins like this. Once there was a man named Zacchaeus, let's call him Zach, who lived in a town called Jericho. He was short, and he didn't have many friends. In fact, most people hated Zach. That's because he worked as a tax collector. See, back then people paid taxes just like now. But instead of sending money to the government, there were men in every city whose job was taking tax money from people. Problem is, those men usually lied. Zach, like most, took a lot of extra money from a lot of people, and all those people hated him. Anyway, one day Jesus came to Zach's town, and Zach wanted to see him, but so did everybody else. And remember how Zach was really short? Well, he couldn't see Jesus over everybody else's head. So guess what he did? He actually climbed up into a tree to look out over everybody. Now, imagine a grown man climbing up in a tree in the middle of a crowd. People probably thought he was crazy or weird. But Zach was willing to look weird if it meant getting closer to Jesus. From up in the tree, Zach watched as Jesus walked up. Jesus said, "Zacchaeus, hurry down. Today is my day to be a guest in your home." This was kind of like a famous person inviting themselves over, except way better. This invitation would change Zach's life. Zach scrambled down the tree to take Jesus to his house. Maybe he thought Jesus didn't know about all the money he had taken or how everybody hated him. But Jesus did know, and he loved Zach anyways. Other people saw this and they were mad. They said, "Jesus has gone into the house of a sinner." They wondered how Jesus could love somebody who had lied and stole their money. The great thing is, Jesus loves all of us, even after we've done things we deserve to get in trouble for, or even after we actually get in trouble. When we see that Jesus loves us anyway, it makes us want to show that kind of love to others. At least that's what happened to Zach. Right away, he wanted to make things right with the people he had hurt. He knew that just saying "I'm sorry" wasn't enough. So he told Jesus, "I'm going to give half of what I have to the poor, and anyone I cheated, I will pay back 4 times the amount of money I took." When Jesus saw that Zach was willing to accept his love and turn around and show it to others, he said, "My friend, today God has rescued you." And even though Zach had been a liar and a thief who was hated by everyone, he became a friend of Jesus and a part of God's family that very day. And that's the story of Zacchaeus. So, in case you missed it, here's the quick version. Zach was short. He was a tax collector. He stole money. People hated him. Jesus came to town. Zach couldn't see him. He climbed a tree. Jesus told him to come down. Jesus went to his house. Jesus loved Zach. Others were mad. Zach made things right. He became a part of God's family. And that's a part of God's story.